Hey folks, Lester Smith here with another stream of consciousness off the cuff video using the D6x D6 rules for role playing a solitaire adventure from a different game system. Because there are lots of great solitaire adventures out there, and I don't want to have to use a different system for each one. If you're not familiar with the D6x D6 rules, D6xD6.com is the core rules of the game. These headings over here are the individual chapters, and well, there you go. In this case, the adventure we are playing is Wyverns Way. It's a solo adventure for the Legendary Lives game. Legendary Lives is a game that was put out in the mid 90s, I think. Um, it is currently Creative Commons open license. I found out about this publisher because of the Lost Souls role playing game, which I highly recommend. You can download the rule book here. Um, Legendary Lives, I have not played before, and I have no idea what this adventure is going to be like. If you'll notice, it says that the Legendary Lives rulebook is temporarily unavailable. Let me put on my glasses so I can see the screens better. Now, I'm going to teach you something about the internet that if you didn't know, you're going to find incredibly helpful. Let's find this. Let's take this URL, and we're going to type in Wayback Machine because that's easy to remember. And that takes us to a place that's called the Internet Archive. And this is a publicly supported site that it crawls the internet and takes snapshots of websites to try to keep a history. So I typed the URL we just copied into this and click Browse History, and it takes us to a calendar that says that 2010 was the first time they crawled this site. They have done it more recently in 2022. These bars are the months and basically how many times each day, which is going to make sense in a second. It's not available in 2022. I went back to 2018. It took a snapshot on August 18th at 11:22. That was the only one for that year. So click on it, and here you go. Here's a record of the website at webarchive.org, and the rule book was still available at that time. So webarchive.org has the PDF available, fortunately for us. You can load it and download it. The one thing I'm going to point out about it is that it doesn't have the pretty cover. This is just the interior. And you can see it's a 257-page book. So let's close this down, close that down, close this down, and this is what I use for dice when I'm playing online. It is, you just type Google Dice into the search bar and it will bring up this form. Um, there you go. You roll the dice. If you don't want to have a D4 or a D20 in here, but let's say you want two D10s and another D8, you just click on those and there you go. Roll. You can make them go away just by clicking on them. This is D6x D6, which means that you roll one six-sided die times the other six-sided die. It gives you a scale. It's kind of a quasi-logarithmic scale, but 1 times 1 down at the bottom end all the way up to 36, being a 6 times 6. And the effect of that will make more sense in a few moments as we get into the D6x D6 rules a little bit more. So, let's look at the adventure. Oh, and I have a Windows Notepad document here that I'm using for a character sheet, and I've put the basic headings that I'm going to need stuff, and Wyverns Way up here. You'll see I don't have name, gender, anything for this character yet. Wyverns Way, how to use this adventure. This is the first known attempt at a solo adventure for the legendary Lives game. This is for those times when you not only have no other players around, but you don't even have a game master. Simply read the paragraphs, choose from the options at the end of each paragraph, and the adventure will act as the game master. Okay, you've probably done solo adventures before. Pick a path, which way, choose your own adventure, whatever they're called. And if not, well, that's basically it. Wyvern's Way is designed for an adventurer early in her career, and they used her for non-gender specific as a pronoun. Although it is probably better for a character who is not a spellcaster if you can accept that some of your spells simply aren't going to function because the planets are lined up awkwardly today, limiting divination and other spells that a programmed adventure can anticipate, then a wizard or witch has a fine chance of completing the story. You can burn, freeze, or electrify any foe you like, but you'll have to be a strict game master for spells like Bewitched. So basically, you're not going to be able to use a spell that would predict what's happening in the future, because then you'd have to cheat and look at paragraphs ahead of time. We are not going to do a wizard. Combat actually works well without a regular game master since Legendary Lives allows most of the die rolling to fall on the player's shoulders anyway, whether you have a game master or not. Of course, you could fudge your die rolls and skip around to paragraphs which you are not directed, but that defeats the point and most of the fun. Agreed. The story. Start here. You have dust in your boots and under your clothes. You've been traveling along the Innis Road for 3 days. 3 days since the last time you slept in a bed, ate something other than salty rations, and 3 days since you shared the company of another human being. The good news is that you'll be in the town of Thistle and in a warm inn within the next 5 hours, 5 or 6 hours. Let's go ahead and make a character. That doesn't give us a lot of background, but we know that it's somebody traveling. What am I doing? Oh, there are lots of different ways to make character names. I often will use a Game Master's Apprentice deck, but in this case, there's a name randomizer I'm going to use. It just brings up US Census names, and let's see if any of these things sound interesting. You know what? Mariette. I like that one of these three. I could keep rolling, but let's just go with Mariette. And I'll play a female. She's a traveler of some sort. Let's make her age 20. Health. Every character in D6xD6 can take 6 points of damage. Focus. This is the one number, the only number that you need as a statistic in D6xD6. And you get that number by adding basically a number of focused skills you have. So the more skills you have, the higher the number, and the lower. High numbers are more of a jack of all trades. It's just the way the dice rolls work, you'll see. Low numbers tend to be experts at those few abilities that they have. Attributes, here we go. In D6xD6, there are only 4 attributes: brawn, grace, will, and wits. And you pick, they don't have numbers, they are based on that focus. You pick one of them to be your best and one of them to be your worst. And I think Mariette she is a sharp-witted. So normally on a character sheet you would circle your best. Because this is typing, I'm going to do it in all caps instead to tell me that that's her best. And what should we make her worst? She needs to be goodwill for being out here traveling on the road. So grace or brawn are going to be her low ones. And I'm going to go with grace as her lowest stat. She is a traveler, not some kind of gymnast or something. Her occupation, let's call her a Hmm. You know what? I like the idea of her being a tinker. She travels from town to town to repair things as people need them. And we'll put a little bit of space in here. Now, so tinker tells me some things about this character. When in using this game, occupation acts as kind of a super skill. It gives a broad idea of what the character can do. Anytime an action needs to be done, you look at the occupation first and say, would this be something that, in this case, a tinker could do? And otherwise, then you'll look at the skills you have, and the focused skills are the ones that you are best at. So I think a tinker would probably be good at bargaining. We'll just figure that's part of it. Um, she's going to need to be able to do a little bit of first aid. That's always a good one to have. Um, we'll give her, we'll make her kind of perceptive. She's hard to surprise. Let's give her foraging. I'm just making these up. You could make up anything. Kite flying if you thought that would be important to your character. So foraging so that she doesn't have to starve along the way. Um, I think maybe she sometimes fills in as a blacksmith if there's nobody else around. She could shoe a horse. Let's just give her equestrian, I'll call it, as a general familiarity with horses. And I think, what else? Um, let's look at D6 by D6 has some general skills. These are just recommendations. Athletics, running, jumping, things that a physically fit person would do. That doesn't seem strong suit to her. Bargaining, I am going to let, you know what? I'm going to let that be a part of her tinker skill. Computers, that's for modern stuff. First aid we put down here. Lock picking. Yeah, maybe she's not always so honest in her travels, or maybe people don't pay her what they said they were going to, and so she has to go in and get what she needs anyway. Martial arts, that's things like boxing, using weapons. In, I think, let's say that she is good with a sling as a ranged weapon, and she carries a big old hunting knife, which in this case is a skill. She knows how to use a hunting knife, not Nige. And what else? Persuasion. That we will use as tinker. Pickpocketing. I'm not going to make her that that much of a thief. Or am I? Nope, not with that low grace. I don't think that fits the concept. Right animal, we've got equestrian. Second language. Um, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Let's give her. Okay, you also have. You start with 3 skills that are considered unfocused. They don't affect the focus number at all. I like the idea of what was he saying? Sneaking as an unfocused skill. Swimming. And maybe tracking, given that she travels so much. Sometimes she has to maybe hunt for her own food when she's out foraging. Okay, And I don't see any other skills. Don't have anything in mind other than, we'll give her a, what do we call it? It's like a travel language. Well, at the moment, we'll just call that travel, trade language. Sort of a pigeon tongue, hand gestures, and so on that people from different cultures or different fantasy races can use to communicate with one another. So that looks like that's what I want to do for this character. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 skills plus 1 for occupation gives us a focus of 9. Whenever you are rolling for occupation or a focused skill, you're trying to roll that number or above, 1d6 times 1d6. Whenever you're trying to do an unfocused skill, you're rolling that number or below. And you can try any skill that comes up, whether you have it or not. It's called an unknown ranked skill. And in that case, it's not at or below, it's completely below. Um, and there are options with focused and unfocused skills. You might come up with a better success than normal. Unfocused, you either succeed or you don't. Drama points. Each character starts with 3 points that they can use to influence dice rolls. And I have some notes down here, which is where I'm going to keep track of any combat if we end up coming into any combat, which it's a fantasy adventure, so I assume we will. Save that character. Is there anything I'm not thinking of? I don't believe so. If so, we'll come back. All right, so we've been traveling for down this Ennis Road. It's been 3 days with nothing around except these salty rations, or she could forage some things off the side of the road from time to time when she stops at night. Nothing. Okay. The good news is that you'll guess you'll be in the town of Thistle and in a warm inn within the next 5 or 6 hours. Nothing is ever that simple for you, though. Up ahead, around a bend, you hear a moan. The road has been suspiciously vacant for 3 days, and the grass growing in the ruts makes you wonder what anyone else would be doing on this near forgotten byway. Weapon in hand, you inch forward. We'll say it's the hunting knife in hand. There, half hidden under a fallen elm tree, is the body of a young man covered in blood. A red-stained spear lies broken out of his reach. Seeing no danger on either side of the road, you lean down to take a look at him. His peasant tunic is shredded and deep gashes ooze blood. His right leg has what you at first make out to be a dagger jab, but when you see the viscous green poison around the wound, you realize something else has happened here. The boy groans and whispers for you to come closer. I'm dying. The wounds should have killed me, let alone this burning poison. But my love for my Elise is keeping this heart beating longer than this body deserves. He coughs up blood and tries to smile. I fell in love with Elise the moment I saw her, and we were only children then. And to win her hand from her father, I promised to slay the flying terror, the wyvern that has haunted this valley for years, taking her father's sheep, and even a townsperson once or twice a year, swooping down in the evening and nights. The young man cries out as the poison grips his heart. Ah! When the pain eases enough, he continues. I left town with the promise to bring the proof of the wyvern's death, his tooth, and then I, just a useless peasant, would be permitted to wed Elise, my fair Elise. His eyes glaze over, and after another coughing fit, he says, My name was Jonas, a scout for Thistle. He struggles to take something from his neck. You help him remove a braided necklace made from shiny blonde hair. Take this to my Elise and tell her that I tried, that I don't deserve to love her. I failed. Jonas has only a few seconds to live. You heard You've heard a little of his tale, a tale that would break even the staunchest warrior's heart. In these last remaining seconds, you can wish the young man farewell, or you can swear on his love for Elise to finish what he started in the name of something grand and good. If you walk away, not wanting to accept responsibility and pain for this young man's love, go to 1A. Oof, I'm going to scroll up so you don't see that. If, however, you are made of sterner stuff, and swear on his dying breath to vanquish the wyvern, deliver the tooth, and communicate Jonas's undying love for Elise, go to 2A. All right. Marry it. If nothing else, she wants to have a good reputation, start off on good footing with these villagers. And how could you walk away from this guy's tragedy? I, in fact, am going to step outside the bounds of the adventure a little bit because I have first aid and he is poisoned and dying, but I'm going to see if I can maybe stabilize him. Um, and if I roll well enough, I'm going to allow that. So first aid, I need to roll it's focused, I need to roll a 9 or above. Get my dice. I rolled a 24. 6 times 4 is a 24. That is 9 or above. So 9 or above is considered one success. Then you add the tens digits to get however many more successes. So 2 more successes. I got 3 successes, and normally a character has a health of 6. I said he's been poisoned. But 3 successes. I ought to be able to do something. So I'm going to say that I've just managed to stabilize him so that he won't die immediately. And if I can come back with the Wyvern's tooth, if it doesn't kill him while I'm gone, then I can help him into town and he can still wed his fair Elise. Sound good? Sound good? Okay, deliver the tooth. 2A. You have taken this task on to destroy a wyvern in the name of a poor peasant and deliver his last words, or hopefully not so last words, and this deed to his true love. You buried Jonas's body. No, I covered Jonas's body over with some sticks to keep him warm. Maybe make a little bit of a fire to help. I'll lay my cloak over him, whatever, to keep him. Jonas, hang on until I get back, and you will yet wed your fair Elise. But I have to face another task, to face a deadly creature. To the north are the mountains, to the west is the forest, to the east are the fields dotted with sheep, to the south is the town of Thistle. You haven't finished your quest, so you tell yourself that south and safety is not an option. Yeah, I've already decided I'm not going to Thistle. And hang on a second while I move something up to see how far along we are. Okay, keeping a track of the length of this recording. If you go north toward the mountains, go to 1M. If you go east toward the fields, go to 1E. Or if you want to try searching the forest for the wyvern, go to 1F. He said it attacks in the late evening or night. And it is not there yet, apparently. Boy, what do you think? Mountains? That sounds a little too rugged and far away. Fields or forest? It's a tinker, but she does have some foraging. Sneaking, swimming, and tracking. You know what? Let's go into the forest and see if we can find it in there and maybe not get caught out in the open. 1F. Okay, so these are C's. This isn't laid out the way a pick-a-path adventure normally is, but I think we got it figured out. 1F. You go west into an oak and maple forest. Fortunately, these are old trees, and much of the underbrush has died off in the shadows of the high branches, making for an easy hike. Aside from the occasional squirrel and shy deer, you don't see anything threatening, especially a wyvern, for the first mile. About when you think you might have picked the wrong place to search, you catch a whiff of something being cooked. Following your nose, you come upon a squat stone hut, smoke rising from its chimney. If you want to knock on the door, go to 2F. If you're the paranoid type and want to peek through the window first, go to 3F. And you think you've gone to the wrong direction and would try looking for the wyvern somewhere else, go back to 2A. Ooh, well, I could try sneaking, but you know what? I'm a friendly uh, traveler with. But everybody likes a tinker, so I'm just gonna knock on the door. 2F. You look to the left and then to the right. Nothing seems wrong, so you knock on the door. You hear a chair scraping along a stone floor, and within a few moments, a hooded man stooped with age opens the door. Soft, inviting firelight beckons you in. The old man greets you warmly and beckons you in. Please come in and have some stew with me. If you take him up on his offer, go to 4F. If you decide to turn down his offer, you can return to 2A. Oh, well, I'm not going to sit here and have stew while poor, what's his name, is dying. Curse me for having thrown that complication into. Um, but otherwise, I would. So let's say I come in and tell him about Stuart, and he says, "Okay, well, let's eat and get out there quickly or something." Or you can take some stew to him. So, going to take some stew. 4F. If you take one of the chairs at the small, rough stone table and relax in the warm glow of a crackling fire, your host brings a large wooden bowl of lamb stew to your setting, and as he does, you notice black tattoos on his wrists when his sleeve rises up his arms. He grins, showing a few sharpened, rotten teeth. From my younger, wilder days, he tells you. As you lean over to take a bite of stew, roll against your alertness. If you roll poor or lower, go to 5F. If you roll passable or better, go to 6F. All right, alertness. That's where the perceptive comes in. Passable or better. Passable sounds like just a regular success. So here we go. Actually, I want to show you something about legendary lives so that you can understand some of the decisions that I'm making. This table looks a lot more complicated than it does in Lost Souls. Um, just this bare layout like this. But basically, you're rolling, uh, this is the difficulty, I believe, scale of 1 to 25. And then you roll. No, this is your skill. This is how good your skill is in this game. And then you're always rolling percentile dice and you look to see what you rolled, and that tells you where on this table. So if you had like a skill rating of 10 and you rolled a 1 to 6, it's a catastrophic failure. 7 to 14 is pathetic. To get up to passable is a 51 to 64, so you can see it's about a 50-50 chance, and so on. So this is what I'm going on in order to decide what it means by poor or lower or passable. So passable, it's like a 50-50 chance. If I succeed at all, then that will be enough. Here we go. A 1 times a 3. I got a 4. I needed a 9 or better. All right, so I failed this roll. 4 or lower, go to 5F. You should never trust a person with a lot of tattoos. You tell yourself as your host stabs you in the back. Roll against inferior for your back, but with a -1 column shift because you never saw it coming. If you survive, you can attack. If you don't kill him after your first attack, go to 7F. If you do stop him with your first attack, go to 8F. All right, his defense is passable. Uh, Good, great, superior, awesome. Magic resistance, good. We're not doing magic. Passable strength, good agility, good alertness. Poor intelligence, great hostility, good run. One dagger attack does inferior damage. Well, let's roll, see what happens, and then decide how to interpret it. That sounds like it halfway fits the Legendary Lives system. This is one of the more difficult ones to adapt to, but it's easier than learning to play the game every time you want to play a new solitaire. So here we go. My focus of 9. This time I got a 3 times 6 is an 18. So that is a success. And when you roll focused ability, the tens digit you get to add as extra successes. So an 18, the tens digit is 1, so I got 2 successes off of this roll. Let's go back. -1 column shift, so we'll call it just 1 success. If you survive, then you can attack. And if you don't kill him after your first attack, go to 7F. All right. Normally I mentioned that these attributes up here, they tell you a little bit of something about yourself. They're also useful as passive defenses. So for close attacks like this, Brawn or Grace, if they're focused, would give me a benefit, which they are not. So I'm taking 1 point of damage. Where to put that health? My health is down to a 5. Ouch. It sounds like I've probably been poisoned by this old bastard. Okay, now we go into regular combat. And to make things easy, I'm going to have a Google Dice open for him and a Google Dice open for me. So here is him. And we said, okay, so he got 2 times 4 is an 8. And we said this kind of, oh, that's his defense. Passable, good, good, good. He sounds about a 50-50 kind of character. So we're just going to use the default of 10, which is the 50-50 mark on D6 by D6 roll. 50% chance of you're going to roll that or above or that or below. So he's trying to hit me with the dagger, and with an 8, he fails. And I am trying to hit him with my short sword. Let's make my roll. A 6. I fail. I could spend drama points to try to bring this up. Spending 1 would change this one to a 2. If I spent all 3 of them, I could get up to a 4. That would give me 4 times 6 is 24. That would only be a success and 2 extra levels. I'm just going to suck it up. I failed, he failed. Let's see what happens. If you do not stop him with your first attack, go to 8F. You got lucky. The tattoo, what? If you stop, if you do stop him, if you don't, go to 7F. The man literally roars, taking you by surprise. Suddenly, before you can attack again, he changes, growing until he nearly fills the entire cottage. He leaps out the door in time to see one of the walls and part of the roof explode. You are now facing an angry wyvern that is ready to tear you limb from limb. You swallow your fear and attack. If you survive, go to 9F. If you lose, the wyvern devours you. Wyvern. Defense is great, great, superior, awesome. But Jonas hit it once. So I'll put it down here in the notes. Wyvern. and it's taken 1 point of damage. Now, awesome strength, good agility, passable alertness, feeble intelligence, poor run, superior fly, great hostility. I'm going to say this thing has better than human health, but awesome, good, passable, feeble, superior. Well, we'll just give it 1 extra point. When I consider all those things, they seem to average out better than passable, but not at up to awesome. So we'll give it a health of 7. Its defense is great, great, superior, awesome. So the way the game system works is as you hit it, its defense goes steadily down. We are not going to do that. We're just going to treat this as superior. Seems to be midpoint on there. So we will give it more than 1 defense. We will give it 2 defense. All right. So here we go with the second round. And the Wyvern said it has 2 attacks. 1 bite for good and 1 sting for passable. Okay, that makes me even more think even it has a focus of 10. Because those are not great attack numbers. Okay, save that sheet. And let's make our dice rolls. It has 2 attacks, so I'm going to throw 2 more dice on here. And we'll just use the leftmost will be its bite. And the rightmost will be its sting. And we're going to treat, because that stinger, that tail, is only passable, we're going to treat this one as the right one as an unfocused roll, so it has to roll its focus number or below 10 or below, and this one as its focused roll, so it's rolling that 10 or above. Let's roll for me first. Give me a good roll. Come on, come on. 2 times 3 is a 6. That sucks. So this first turn, I rolled a, I guess we'll put it up here by the focus numbers. I rolled a 6. That's a fail. And it's rolling it rolls a 20 for its bite and a 12 for its tail. So it hits. That 20 is, it's a hit plus 2 for the 20. 3 levels of damage. Its focus was 10. So we'll mark it this way. Its bite is for 20. And I guess we'll indent these so because it's running under my face. You can see I'm making this up because it's using the notepad instead of an actual character sheet. Tail for 12. Now these numbers are good, are important. So this is going to be 2 successes, 3 successes. Maybe we can just abbreviate that to S3. And this is a fail. So S0, no successes. And I rolled a 6, which is a fail, S0. And the reason I've kept these, what we rolled, is because the actions take place counting down from 36 in order. So that bite hits me for 3 before I get a chance to do anything. And my health is now down to a 2. This thing is almost certainly going to kill me. 12 is the next action. It misses with that stinger. I duck, but I don't manage to hit it with the sword because I'm so busy ducking. Wow. Hand to hand against a wyvern. Okay, this time it got a 16 and a 6. So the bite, 16. That is a success for 2. And it got a 6, which as an unfocused roll is a success. Just one success. Oh, dude, am I going to hit this thing at all? There's not a lot I can do when the dice rolls come up like this. I could bring it up to a 24. That would give me... Yeah, I will spend my 3 drama points to bring this up to a 4. So 4 times 6 is a 24. So that's a success. And 2 extras. Okay, so 16, 6, and so at 24, I strike it with the every last bit of energy I have, and 3 successes. Its defense is 2, so I managed to hit it. Oh, I'm going to bring it down to 5 because he hit it once too. Now I've hit it once. It has 2 wounds in it. And then it bites me for 2, which is just enough to kill me. And it stings me with its tail just for good measure. And then it eats me. And then because I told it where poor, what's his name, was, who's this guy's name? I told him where poor Jonas was. It goes and eats him too. Well, there's some sucky die rolls for you right there, but I still had a good time. I hope you enjoyed watching this. Um, and there'll be more in the future, and you can maybe learn more about D6 by D6 or go check out the website. And thanks. I will see you around.